Welcome to the AV experience where we talk about all things AV and you guys really show up to watch me fall flat on my face. I'm your host, as always, Ryan. Jonathan's here with us tonight, and we're going to talk about a little bit of how we're setting up for next week's big Kansas City crawl. We've got a bunch of people coming in from local and actually more coming in from out of town. And Jonathan thought it to be a good idea. Jonathan, I'm putting this on you because if this episode falls flat on its face, I want everybody to know it is your fault. Thought it'd be a good idea if we talked about preparations because we're both doing things, and I'm sure all the other hosts, the three other hosts, you got Grant, Sheldon, and the other Ryan. Let's face it, the more important Ryan are the other hosts, and we're all doing preparations because there's actually, we think our theaters are in tip-top shape, and then you're like, people are coming, and you realize that they're not. So we're doing stuff to get ready for it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But Jonathan, how have you been? You got a good week?
Yeah.
You had meetings, which are a drag for everybody.
We're doing big installs, taking multiple hour calls and stuff on the table.
I've been there, done that. Not fun. Because you got to be in some of those meetings to like, what did I do with my time while we were there? We went nowhere. We've just been in circles, and we actually created more work for ourselves. We didn't solve anything. Yeah, I know how those goes.
We made some forward progression. We installed 2 new application servers, but we have a lot more to do. Like that's just what you do. And our whole team, we're training the new guys. The whole team's wrapped around, trying to give instruction.
Okay. Well, what I've heard a lot from you on the forums, at least in your room thread, is you are messing a lot with Velvet and reflections, and because you're trying to get the contrast, you're trying to boost the contrast numbers because you saw what the NZ500 supposedly could do at Sheldon's, and you're like, mine don't look like that. So I guess you're trying to chase that. What have you done so far?
Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of that backstory. I went over and watched the NZ500 at Sheldon's. I think we talked about this on a previous podcast briefly, that I thought it was like a next tier JVC. Like it was doing something a tier better than what I had seen out of the entry level models before. Maybe rivaling something like that NZ900 that was at your house. Believe it or don't. At any rate, it was really phenomenal. And part of that is that advertised the ANSI contrast has almost doubled what JVC has had in the past. And the ADL, the contrast ratios are better as the ADL climbs the scale. So that means like more like a DLP presentation or more like an LCD presentation at the higher ends, but still that nice JVC blackness at the lower ADL levels. So at any rate, I was excited enough to order one from Ryan and got it home, and I thought, this is like a good sample JVC, but it's not knocking my socks off like the one over at Sheldon's house. And I thought, what's the difference here? Well, Sheldon has the first third of his room covered in velvet. And I'm not keen to do that to my room yet, just personal preferences. But I did put, I'm going to point the camera that way for a second and show. I did put velvet on the bottom, and I got a black rug, and I put velvet behind the screen. So before I had the same thing as my ceiling tiles behind the screen, just adhered to the wall. And I took the screen down and I put cut velvet out to fit behind the screen. So that would be less light coming back, reflected from the back of the screen back through the screen. And yes, those minimal things that I did made a difference. Maybe not it's still not like to the Sheldon's level. So there's probably still something to be said for adding a third of your room being velvet, the front third. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Not yet anyway, but it did make a difference. I made a positive difference. I'd say 5 or 10% difference, maybe on the 10% side, even 10 or 15% with the last round. I got one more thing to do here. I did something else. My ceiling, you'll see those 4 lights are now closer to the seats. All I did is rotate those tiles 180 degrees because they were really close to the screen. If they're on the other side of that tile, like they normally are, I'm not in love with the way that looks now that they're moved closer to the seats. But the purpose was that you could see the light reflecting off the screen pretty easy on those. There's like 4 white hot spots. And now that they're back a little bit, it's not nearly as strong. It's kind of like not right there in your vision when you're watching. So that's a little bit of a benefit, even if it's kind of an odd, strange one. And then I got curtains. I haven't hung them yet. I'm actually waiting for the paint to dry. So let's just see if I can use my finger. Between here and the front wide on both sides, I'm going to hang velvet curtains to kind of just to kill some of that sidewall reflection as well. So that'll be like phase 1, and we'll see.
My takeaway from this is that before this, your room sucked.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things you don't know that you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think, you know?
We're going to go over to Jonathan's. Like, he's got a week. We're going to go over to Jonathan's, or the guys are going to go over to Jonathan's. And the whole house, it's just going to be velvet. The whole thing.
We give everyone a velvet robe.
Megan's going to answer the door, and she's just going to be in a velvet sheet.
Velvet socks and velvet booties for everyone that comes in.
Smile. Velvet. Just
there's some blackout for your teeth.
Oh, I could just see it now. Just velvet everywhere. People are walking in the door. Here's your velvet. Here's your velvet. Here's your velvet. And you just we're all sitting there like we're getting x-rays with our velvet coverings as we watch whatever Jonathan's putting on the screen. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
I don't need to go any further, but I'm glad you're making strides. That's got to make a big change, because for people that don't know, as you get lower in the or up in the contrast range, right, when we're starting to go into like what JVC is capable of, you really have to start chasing any type of reflected light, because any reflected light is diminishing the contrast that you're actually getting in the room. And the higher that contrast number is, the easier it is to impact that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's not just the contrast that it helps. It also, like, I'll put it this way. I'll be so just frank as to say this. Sheldon's image looked so good that when I put the NZ500 in my room, I thought mine might be defective. Like, I wasn't sure if something was wrong with it. So the very next day after getting it, or maybe it was 2 days after, I went over to Sheldon's house with my projector in tow, like under one arm.
Who does this?
And we hooked it up in Sheldon's room. And I was like, I want to know if something's wrong with mine. It doesn't seem as bright and it doesn't seem as black. Like, this seems defective. You get it in there and it's like the same thing. And you're like, dang it.
Jonathan's room sucks.
Dang it. So
those situations are very humbling, though, because like, the equipment is doing what it should be doing, and it's just whatever you've done with we've all been there. Whatever you've done with the implementation is just, this isn't doing what I think it should be doing, and it is your fault.
So I come home and Megan's like, "You want to do what to the room downstairs?" No. She forbid me from seeing Sheldon anymore, and I saw Sheldon the very next day after that, so it didn't last very long, my probation. But it's kind of funny, those theatrics behind the scene.
Oh, does Palindrome Guy says, does having people around encourage you to upgrade your theater? It's dangerous.
It does.
Because you see things that you wouldn't normally see, right? We talk about this all the time of, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And the danger of having a bunch of friends that are home theater guys is it's very easy to know exactly what you're missing, because everybody likes something different. So you get exposed to all different kinds of stuff. And it can be hard. It can be very hard. But
so I will also make this little note that I've been in rooms with velvet before. I've even been in a room, Bill Max, that's completely velvet. Like, the entire thing is velvet, front to end, top to bottom. He even has velvet covering his speakers. Like, everything's velvet. The chairs aren't even leather because that was too reflective. So he's got a matte cloth black chair.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a black hole. You can't even take a picture in there. It's so hard to take a picture. Any rate, I always say any rate. My wife makes fun of me. I didn't feel drawn to that picture particularly. It looked nice, but it was like a JVC RS600 or something, or RS620 that he's got, which is a nice projector, but it's outclassed by the modern projectors. And that image in Sheldon's room is one of the best images I've ever seen on an NZ500, and that's a way cheaper projector than a lot of the things that we've seen at shows and stuff. So it's that velvet really helps that JVC a lot, and it'll help my Epson too. I'm still kind of weighing out whether I'm going to have a PWM shoe. I have a tiny bit of soreness developing, but it's not like the RS2100. And when I take a slow motion picture of the JVC 500, the flashing seems much faster at 240 frames per second than it did on the RS2100. So I think they might have changed the speed of the flashing with PWM, which may be less annoying to my eyes or less bothersome. So far, it's not bothersome enough where I would sell it, but I am feeling a little bit of heat in my eyes now. So we'll see how that goes. I've been using it a lot. I mean, I've been spending hours in front of it, kind of chasing scenes down and planes
Well,
as I
they're
make these
feeling it just
changes.
a little bit, but I'm imagining the Japanese engineers going, "We finally have created something that Jonathan will approve of," instead of just going
No.
over everything. "I can't watch it!" Uh, we finally gotten his approval. But
Yeah.
so Paul A. actually asked, "Does the NZ500 not bother you with the flickering?" So you're saying it
There's a
seems
hint
to a
there's a
little
there's a
bit, but
hint
not
of it.
nearly as much as it did.
It's yes, it seems to me, to my eyes, and everybody's a little bit different and whatnot, it seems to be less bothersome than the RS-2100. Like, if I watched the RS-2100 as much as I have now, I'd really be sore. I just have a little bit of heat in my eyes, not like before.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I honestly don't know, Paul, if that's something that will just continue to build over time or if it will dissipate if I'm not watching it as heavy as I am right now. So we'll see. Time will tell.
So
Uh,
this is actually a great transition kind of into a different topic. We'll come back to this, some things we're doing. But Paul asks, "So can I go to this crawl thing or what?" And we actually had a guy who had 3 or 4 slots booked for him and
had
his
4
family.
slots.
He's
Yeah.
not able to come for X, Y, or Z reasons, and those slots are available. So if you want to come, what should they do? Sign up in the thread? Probably is the
Yeah,
best
they
thing to
probably
do.
should go to ABS Forum and sign up in the thread. It's in the area Meets and Gathering. It's called the Kansas City Crawl May 2025, I think, or something like that. You'll find it. It's near the top.
You
And
can literally just
we have kind
Google
of
it.
like a group limit of 60 is kind of what we agreed upon back in January, and it filled up in 3 days. And there's been a little bit of shuffling in and out. Yeah, there, Ryan linked it. It's been a little shuffling in and out of some people who have had to cancel and, adding some more people. But right now we have a few slots open. So if anyone's local or would be willing to drive in, come join us.
We knew that was gonna happen. I mean, you called it at the very beginning that not everybody's gonna come, and people that have signed up, some of those people aren't gonna come. It's just the nature of the beast and what ends up happening.
Yeah.
So we do have a few slots. We'll call it 4. I put the link there in chat. So if you want to come and you're serious about coming, reply to that thread and we'll get you added to the list. First 4.
Mm-hmm.
Be quick. Or not. I don't know how fast people are gonna actually sign up. So back to the Velvet question. Somebody asked me a question. Ryan, where'd that go? It was here and then it wasn't. Oh, here it is. Palindrome guy asks, "Is Velvet a cheap upgrade or expensive? Ryan, is your room covered in velvet?" Velvet, I would say, isn't. I guess it depends on how much you do and what velvet you get, because velvet can be expensive, or kind of. I guess in the grand scheme of things with upgrades, it's not an expensive upgrade. It can be time consuming depending on how you mount it. My room is not velvet. It is, I don't know what the actual material is, and it's an acoustically transparent material. It is less reflective than walls, but it's not as less reflective or as unreflective as velvet would be. But
The trick is with velvet, it's not terribly expensive. I can go over that because I've just been doing a lot with it. It's kind of hard to get velvet to match colors. So, for instance, uh, there's a thread on AVS Forum that's basically about making your room black. And the velvet that Evan recommends was Joann's Royalty 3, which is now basically gone because Joann's is going out of stock or going out of business. And then Hobby Lobby,
triple black,
um, what is it called?
triple
Um,
black, wasn't
It'll
it?
come back to me. Triple black. That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you. At any rate, now that that's what's on that front wall, and you can tell that's black. I mean,
it's black.
it's like a cold black, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's as black as black can be. When the lights are out in this room, you cannot see, even like barely can see the projected image shining on it full. So where I'm cautioning though is now I'm trying to buy curtains for that sidewall, and I've bought 4 different sets from Amazon. 3 of them have come, and they don't match that exactly. So either my wife she graciously volunteered to make curtains. I almost hate to make her like spend a day sewing curtains. So I'm trying to figure out if there's one that's close enough to that to use.
Jonathan, spend less time in your theater. Jonathan, I will make curtains for your theater. I'm sorry, Megan. Please allow me into your house in the future.
So then my daughter's teasing me. She's like, "Well, let's see how many different colors of black you can get in this room because that's kind of what's happening."
Well, a big part of the velvet is you have to make sure it's laying the same way.
Yes.
Because if you get a piece and you put it this way and you put a piece next to it going this way, you will absolutely see the difference.
Yeah, the grain matters.
Yeah, the grain definitely matters. So you need to make sure that it's laying the same way. That can make a
So
huge
very
difference.
specific to the price, it's not very expensive. It actually isn't very expensive. They come in like 48-inch wide rolls or 44-inch wide rolls typically, and it's 1 yard is about $10 or $11 if you use one of the 40% off coupons, or if you go, during the 40% off week as far as Hobby Lobby, because they may require coupons, but they do have rotating 40% off things. And if you don't do that, it's like $17 a yard. So a yard is 3 foot long basically by 44 inches wide. So you can figure out what you need from that. And then if you surprisingly, like I didn't know this up front, it's probably just the order of scale with the marketing or the manufacturing, but the curtains on Amazon are way
Mhm.
cheaper than buying it from like Joann's or Hobby Lobby, even just like when it's raw fabric. Now, I haven't found one that's as dark as the Hobby Lobby or Joann stuff, but it's well made. The curtains are well made, and you can get two like 90-inch curtains or 96-inch curtains for like $27 that are 45 or like 48 inches wide. So it's actually more. It's almost, what is that? That's like actually it's actually about a third of the price if you buy it in curtain form, like finished curtain form. So that'd be a way to do it potentially. If you The other thing I've read online is saying basically like any of the velvet, no matter what velvet you get, is going to be better than paint. So you
Mhm.
can lose sleep over getting the exact blackest velvet, or you can just get it and realize like, hey, that reflects way less light than
Yeah,
black paint.
it does. I mean, my theater used to have it used to come out about 8 feet, and that looking into it, I had it to right about where your periphery was. It was like looking into a black hole. You
Hmm.
couldn't see anything. Light did not come out of there. Now, the unfortunate part was there was 2 Martin Logan 15As and a 34C, so there were things there that you could see, but it makes a large perceived contrast difference, right? Not only does it impact the actual contrast measurement, but it impacts your perceived contrast measurement because you have no comparison at that point. Like it's just a black hole and you
Hmm.
just see the image floating in space. So there's a big psychological component that goes with this, not just an objective component that goes.
And it's more than and I mentioned this already, but I think it's worth repeating. It's not just that it makes the black content look better; it makes the brights look brighter.
Yeah.
Like it, Sheldon's room, his projector in his room actually looks quite a bit brighter than mine. Like I thought when I got it in here, I thought this isn't a bright enough projector for my size screen. But Sheldon has a bigger screen with less gain, and his seemed way brighter than mine. So when I brought my projector over to his, I brought my light meter. They were within like a hundredth of a percent. I mean, it was like the exact same number minus like a tenth of a thing on there as far as the foot Lambert. So they were the same brightness, the projectors were, but it just presented so much differently because your eyes are all like blacked out. They can't see anything. And then that light is there and it fools you into
Jonathan,
a
that
different.
you need to remove the velvet from your eyes. It doesn't have to go there.
Yeah. I mean, the balance here, right, is like, I don't know about you. I kind of mentioned it in my room thread. I don't really like the look of like an all blacked
No.
out theater. Like I like having some texture and some things to see.
It
So
what
there's
I
a
have found
balance.
is it has to be inviting, right? It's
Mm,
gotta the room has to feel comfortable, which is a big reason. Like, I'm looking for a new couch right now. I'm trying to
mhm,
find a couch that I can put in the showroom, and I get asked, "Well, why don't you go black?" I'm like, "Well, black's not an inviting color. If everything in the room is black,
mhm.
it is not a place a person wants to be. It does not feel homey. It does not feel comfortable. So, if you want your significant other to go in that room, that's probably not a great idea
Yeah. And
because it
we'll
just
also add
doesn't feel
subjective
good.
preferences being what they are, because I know like Bill's the guy this room is all blacked out, like he absolutely wanted that and he loves it. He wouldn't have it any other way. So
Mhm,
that's not for me. That's for him. Everybody has their own preferences.
mhm.
Now, that being said, everyone talks about getting velvet is kind of like getting a tattoo. You never just get one tattoo. If
No.
you get a tattoo, you're gonna
Well,
keep
look at
getting
you.
them. And velvet
Every time,
basically the
every
same.
day, every post. Oh, I velveted this. Oh, I velveted this. Oh, I've done this. Oh, this. My wife's making me this. Oh, this. Next, I'm going to come over in your whole house, the outside of your house, your dog, everything
My
is
dog,
going to be covered in velvet, and we're
my
not going
dog
to
has a
know what
little
to do
velvet
with
robe.
ourselves. Yeah. Uh, anyway, let's stop talking about velvet. You said you were doing some other things with near fields and your subs and stuff. What else are you
Sure.
doing?
You probably can't see that necessarily unless I walked around with the camera. Can I get that over there at all? So the near field that were here before, they were just the same boxes up front. They're now behind my riser, and they're actually on like little shelves. So they kind of have a little bit of a diving board effect, a little bit extra vibration, and they really shake that riser pretty good, even though the riser's just on the floor. My daughter was watching some clips with me last night, and she was really saying like this thing's really moving because she was leaning back. We were watching that Intro to a Hidden World on How to Train Your Dragon, and she's like, my whole body, including my feet, like the whole chair is just bouncing around. And it's not like up in the air like doing the stuff that we've talked about with Hover Boss. It's just vibration. Like I just like the vibration part. So I'm trying to get that dialed back to where I think subjective preference is for me, which may not be for anyone else, but I like it to feel like intense, but still within the realm of natural.
Because it can feel distracting.
Yes.
If it's too bad. It can break the immersion on its own.
Yes.
You want it to be an additive.
Yes.
Not a subtractive.
Yep.
So, and that's a fine line. And it is, like we were talking about with Velvet. God, I brought Velvet back. It's very subjective. Some people will want more, losing sleep over it. Some people want less.
Yeah.
And you've just got to find the point where it's adding just a little bit, just enough. It's like VR, right? It doesn't take a lot to trick your brain into thinking it's moving. And in the case with this, it is just a little bit to make it feel like it's got that little bit underneath and a little bit extra. Right. So you can crank it up and feel like you're actually getting shot, but that can be disruptive to the movie experience. You don't want to take away from it or make the focus on that. So subs, talked about Velvet, talked about subs. Is there something else you were doing?
Well, no, but I mean, along with that, because now I have 3 rows of subs, subwoofer 1 is feeding my front bank, subwoofer output 2 on the AV10 is feeding my second row, subwoofer 3 is feeding my rear row, and then subwoofer 4 is feeding my mini DSP, and the mini DSP is feed the in-back 8-inch subwoofers, and then also feeding the butt kicker advance. So I had to redo my timing alignment with the rear row because of the change. So I spent some time dialing that in, which is nothing more than just listening to a bunch of different like you want songs that have like a variety of bass, and you want probably quicker hits, because the slower hits you can't even really tell. Like if it's like just a droning sine wave or something, you can't. Sine wave might not be the best example because low frequency sine wave you can tell if it's off. But if it's just like low rumble like a movie, it's fine. What isn't fine if you don't time align it is like drum kicks or like synth bass, stuff that's quick hitting. And so you time align that, and that's takes time, like hours.
It's a pain.
I've been spending time on that, getting that rear row dialed in real well. And I think I'm pretty much there. I'm pretty happy with it right now.
Good. The other thing you wanted to talk about or brought up in the chat was, and I saw a question about it, was the black carpet. And you mentioned it earlier. Do you feel like the black carpet, the black rug made a difference?
I think it does make a little difference, and I knew it did before I even had it, but I didn't think it was enough to really worry too much about with the Epson, because I have those black blankets, right? Just people get cold. It's a basement. I've laid those out on the floor, and I had employed my father-in-law. Employed is a funny word, but asked my father-in-law to like do a MC of like ripping the blankets up all at once, so you can get like a quick take contrast view on the screen with the blankets on the floor or not. I mean, like, this is how you play. This is how you test. And yes, both my father-in-law and I could tell a difference. But it wasn't.
Imagining your father-in-law going upstairs and talking to his daughter and going, "Why did you marry?"
He likes the home theater. He helped me test subwoofers and everything else. He helped me build these subwoofers.
I know he helped you. You keep roping him in.
Oh yeah,
he's going to be velveted into the theater.
When we were doing
permanent
that
edition,
we could tell a difference, but it wasn't like enough to like, oh, I'll go buy a black carpet. I think what it is going to be is a combination of multiple things that bring that forward versus just one thing.
And I think it's not distracting any longer, right? Because it's not a different color underneath the screen. It is just black. So it's, even if it's not adding something, which it is a little bit because it's lower reflective.
It does help.
It's not as immersion breaking because it's a closer color to everything else around it.
So this particular carpet I got is a carpet by Unique Loom, and also on AVS Forum, that was the carpet that everyone has said for years is the least reflective carpet that they've found so far. You can buy it on Amazon. This is a 12 by 9 piece. It was like $160 shipped, so not awful. It's a thick nap, which I think helps like kind of dissipate some of the reflective quality because the strings are longer and they're absorbing the light more than just reflecting it like a flat surface carpet would. And it does make a difference, certainly more than the fleece blankets even, I think, because it absorbs the light better than the fleece does. When you're sitting on that chair in the middle or on the sides and you're looking towards the screen, now on the ground, you don't have the white. So, it does help a little bit. It helps more than I probably expected by testing with the fleece. In tandem with the velvet behind the screen, in tandem with the velvet underneath the wall, in tandem with the tiles rotated. Like, there's little improvements. There's improvements to be had.
You've been busy. Glad things are moving. Which projector is going to be on the crawl?
Probably this NZ500.
Ooh, it's happened.
Well, that's if I get it adjusted. It's still in its original mount location, which means right now I can only fit 240 into one on my screen, and I haven't moved it yet. So I can't do a 16 by 9 screen. It overblows it. So I have to move the mount forward. And I still haven't taken it down to test. I told you I was going to do that, and I still intend to. I haven't done it maybe this weekend. I want to see if I don't have to bring it forward as far as the Projector Central calculator says I do. Because the Projector Central calculator basically says I have to hang that thing 3 foot forward of where it is now. And 3 foot forward of where it is now is
right over that seat.
Over that dang seat.
It's Projector Central is usually pretty accurate. I can't fault them.
Let me see if I can get. I'll be right back.
He has left us. Palindrome Guy asks, I know you're in basements, but can you hear home theaters outside of a detached brick house if they were on the ground floor? Yes. So, if it's cranked up loud enough, you can absolutely hear a home theater if it's on the ground floor. Definitely.
I'm going to go over there with the yardstick and just show you how far forward that has to be.
Just a bit.
So that's not ideal. I hope that's a lie. We shall see.
So my journey, Jonathan, I hope your journey with the projector goes well. Those were the journeys that my wife hated the most, because invariably I would ask her to come down and help me hold something or do something, and she'd hate me for that period of time.
Oh yeah.
My journey is I have new sub amps coming, so I gotta hope they get here early enough that I can time align everything, because that's going to mess with the time alignment. Because those amps are going to have a different delay than the current amps. What else? There should be a modified lens coming, so doubling the contrast. Hopefully it'll be here early next week. I'm hoping, and that hopefully that all works out.
Early next week, nothing like cutting it to the last minute.
I know these things have been going for a while. I know everything's coming right before. This is what always happens. It's like, hey, we've been talking about this. It's shipping.
Yeah.
So hopefully they get here in time and we have time to dial things in. And then I gotta just make sure all the audio and stuff's ready to go. And then I gotta clean. I got a lot of stuff out because I work from home. I got clean. There's just stuff.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I got all kinds of project stuff all over the room.
Yeah. So I got to do that. I don't think I've got really anything else. I don't have an exciting journey going on right now with the Velvet 4A like you do or anything. We'll see what the modified lens does. I am excited about that. I'm not excited about changing it because I got to take some panels down, and I always worry about dropping those things because they're really heavy, and I got to change that. So I'm excited about changing it, see the difference.
How's the lens release mechanism on the Christie compared to the Epson?
Button, and then it like turns and locks in. The Christie lens weighs like 3 times as much as the Epson lens does. So it's a little more of a process, and then it goes through like this physical calibration and seating process. You guys are looking at me like, what is he doing?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's got to go through this huge process, and then hopefully it arrives okay and there's nothing wrong with the internals during shipping. And I hope it'll be all right. I think it
Find
will.
the ends of the
Yeah.
zoom and so forth, and then
Yeah.
get rid of
Yeah.
slop and all that.
Yeah. We went through some stuff today to try and find like the lens position, like where it was, because the last one we did it, we didn't account for me needing to shift all the way down, and when light was going through the aperture when we did the shift, it just screwed everything up. So we accounted for it this time, and I think it's gonna work. But I think we're gonna be over 10,000 to 1 native contrast with
Nice,
300 nits. So
nice.
I'm excited because the 300 nits now at 5,001 native contrast just looks outrageous, but we're gonna double it. And
That'd be
as Nick and Andy always say, you need at least a doubling to notice. And I think we're gonna get there. I think we'll be over a doubling, and it's gonna look fantastic. So there's that. And I hope. Do you ever worry that something's gonna break like right before things?
I've had a pretty good track record with that until the last M Wave, which I had an HDMI cable fail during one of the demonstrations. But other than like the infamous like home theater PC locking up and stuff, which seems to happen pretty much every time for whatever reason,
Oh, you need me to work? No.
Like I use this thing all the time, and only when you show it does it blow up.
Yep. I'm just gonna not work. Anything else? Did we have a movie we were supposed to watch and then didn't?
I don't remember what it was. If we
I don't
did,
even remember. Chad will tell us. I don't remember. Maybe we didn't. But any questions? I haven't been starring anything, but I think
I've been looking at the questions.
I've been trying to get the questions as they came in and answer them. This was going to be a very short stream because Jonathan has family stuff. He's got a busy weekend. Oh, here's one. Ryan B asks, I'm thinking Buckeye for Neofields. How much difference between 8-inch and 10-inch with all the same specs? No. I think you go, would you even do an 8-inch or a 10-inch near field? I wouldn't even bother.
I tried a high performance 10 and fitted a Kappa Perfect, and I blew it up trying to get anywhere close to the feel of my 18s.
Wouldn't even bother.
Now, if you're going to attach them onto the seat, you can probably.
That's a little different.
Yeah, like
but
physically
that is
attach it to the back of the recliner.
Not everybody is Sheldon.
Yeah,
with Sheldon level of modification.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not making fun of you. It's just it's a subjective choice.
To put a little note on that, like basically you attach that 10-inch, and I do a 10 instead of an 8 probably if I were you. I have 2 8s and it's barely enough. But if you do a 10, I think you can get there. You would cut the back of the chair open, and you would basically have it open air firing into the back of the seat. And it will be close enough to your back that you'll feel it quite well, and it will add a lot of vibration to the chair. Like that's a good choice, but not standalone mount. It doesn't have enough excursion. Even a high performance 10 doesn't have enough excursion to make you happy there, I don't think.
We're going to go back to this question from Palindrome Guy. So I'm standing outside a detached house, and you got John Wick on full volume, and I would be able to hear that outside, say 6 feet away.
Yeah, especially because we run our bass hot.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you would.
Let's just say there are some people in Kansas City with walkout basements, and their neighbors are not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you would definitely hear that. Paul A asks, how much velvet was in that theater originally that set all this off?
Yeah, like the front 30% of it or so in that ballpark is velvet in his room. And that's floor, ceiling, and walls. Yeah. Like
you really need to do
a cove of velvet.
Finster asks, what is the difference between BEQ and PEQ? I'm familiar with how to adjust PEQ, but how is BEQ adjusted?
Dramatically different. Yeah. In the realm of do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so BEQ, and as used on the forums, is basically a EQ curve that is made per movie. So like someone's making these files and giving you, load them into your mini DSP or your monoprice H2P1, and it picks back up bass below 30 hertz ish that's been filtered off by the studio. So a lot of times on your Blu-rays or your UHD discs, the copy that you can buy has been filtered, and it's been filtered for a lot of reasons. It probably primarily is just so that they don't destroy people's home theater equipment that don't know any better. Like people have a little 8-inch sub at home, they turn it up, and all of a sudden their subwoofer is blown. So they filter that 30 hertz and below content off a lot of times on a lot of movies, and the BEQ brings it back. So it doesn't overwrite your EQ. A lot of times, for instance, you'll apply your regular EQ, your parametric EQ, or your filters, your shelf filters on the output side of your mini DSP, and the BEQ applies to the input side of your mini DSP. And it's just a file. You download one per movie. So that's how that works.
But it's not just things that they don't want to blow up your theater with. It could be things as mundane as noise, right? From something. And one of the issues I have with BEQ is a lot of it is subjective, right? Somebody's making these changes, and is it supposed to be there?
Well, I mean, they're trying to run this through different programs to make it flat. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Restore the original down to DC to try to make it flat.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of art to it too, I think, that they probably have to apply.
Yeah. I agree.
BEQ causes some anomalies. We've talked about this before on the show. I know several people who have used BEQ. I know several people who still use BEQ, but what I was referring to is several people that have backed off BEQ. Like they started using it and they've backed off. And the reason being is because sometimes it adds artifacts to the movie that maybe the director didn't necessarily intend to be there, or it's too strong of an effect for what's going on the screen. Only if you have a system that's capable of those little frequencies, like you have a system with 16 seals like Sheldon does, where all of a sudden now you're magnifying that 5 hertz tone in there that's barely audible, not even audible. Audible is the wrong word because it's below human hearing, but barely tactile before. And now all of a sudden you're just bouncing out of your seat with it because it's so strong and it's making the walls in the house groan and everything. In a place in a movie that maybe doesn't even make sense. So there's some of that BEQ is known to do.
Yep. Last question. Nobody else has asked anything. Thoughts on Tone Winner at 3,000? Those specs at that price look like the bargain of the decade.
I don't even know what they're talking about. I know what Tone Winner is, but what's there's a new model out or something?
I am not sure. Let's see.
Tone Winner had the nice little bare bones preamp that was like,
is that what he's talking about?
Or something. I don't know about a $3,000 one. I'm looking it up or Googling it.
Their website's kind of slow. Products, AV series, Dolby Atmos processors.
Maybe have him put in the comment what product he's looking at, because they don't just have like a couple products anymore. They're actually expanding their line pretty good.
Yeah, maybe he meant the 300? I don't know. Tone Winner's website also does not have pricing.
Oh, and just on to the comment about PEQ and BEQ while we're waiting for that guy to reply back. PEQ is available on any kind of DSP. It's called parametric EQ. It's how you would change like filters or change different frequencies higher or lower. And BEQ is what we talked about. So PEQ is available everywhere. BEQ is very specifically available for, that type of use case.
He says it's the AT300. It's the 13 channel AVR processor. I don't know what its price point is. I'm sure I don't think this thing has any type of room correction, which may be fine.
Look at the back of that thing, Ryan. That's a straight up Marantz knockoff.
Yeah.
With the copper plate.
That definitely is. Which leads me, last topic, we can talk about this briefly. What do you think of the Marantz Massimo Sound United news?
Anytime that company changes hands, I get a little bit nervous because I mean, it's under Samsung's larger umbrella at this point. That's not a bad place to be, but I'm a little bit worried that, like that's a premium product. Marantz and Denon are kind of the best in the industry and have been for a long time, and you worry that won't continue as they change hands. That's the only thing for me.
My worry is we're losing competition.
Mm-hmm.
We're going now under one umbrella, and competition is diluting. So it worries me. And the Harman line of AVRs and Pre's has not been the most reliable.
They're a little buggy sometimes.
They are, and I'm worried that they're not going to let Sound United be and do what they're doing, and they're going to try and do what they want to do, and it's worrisome. That was not the greatest news that I wanted to see.
So Harman and JBL are basically the lower companies that are going to be acquiring Denon, Marantz, Sound United, and so forth. And then Samsung is the overall company that owns those lines. So none of it is like, I mean, it was weirder still when this like health company bought it, Massimo, which that was like, what in the world's happening? And then you find out that guy really was like a Denon Marantz fan, like he was an enthusiast, and so you realize like he's not going to let this go. He took a bath on it, right? I mean, gosh, he lost his company over that because the board kicked him out. He's the founder and CEO, and they kicked him out because of his Sound United failure. But he paid $1 billion for it. It sold recently to Harman for what, $350 million?
Yeah,
so that's a bath.
Harman got a steal.
They probably did. At the same time, I always kind of wonder like what the future holds for these things anyway, because like these modern processors, we've talked about it many times, they're already above the thresholds of human hearing. If new tech's coming out, what is driving me to upgrade to the next thing after AV10? Like, what's happening that would make me upgrade? So the market, you can kind of take yourself out of the market by making a product that's so good. And I kind of feel like they're already sort of there.
Well, especially one that doesn't have the upgradability that some of the more boutique brands have. It's like today I ordered a ADAC for the Storm. It's a new processing board, so I can go from 24 channels of decode to 32 channels of decode, and it does some other stuff. But these processors from Marantz, JBL, Denon, they don't have that upgradability. So why is the ongoing spend is not going to be there is my point, because people are not more than likely just going to buy an entire new AVR for one codec or one thing.
And frankly, what codecs are still, I mean, it's the famous conundrum. There's probably something we're not thinking of, but like, what are you going to do besides what Atmos has now with 15 speakers or 13 speakers? Put speakers on the floor? Are people going to do that if they came out with like an Atmos 2? I mean, what are they doing? What do they do?
I don't know. I mean, they are releasing different iterations of the codec that do different things. So there are like one of the big things with Storm is they're getting a new version of Atmos that is going to do some, not a new version, but a newer version than what they had that is better. So there's things like that. But as you said, where else are we going? We haven't heard anything else. So unless Dolby or DTS smacks us over the head with something new,
I think Dolby Atmos and DTS:X might be around for like another 10 years before something would come out. And then when it comes out, I don't know what they're going to bring to the table that would like move the needle.
I don't know.
There's HDMI standards that will move the needle, as always. But at a certain point, once you're like, think how far ahead of the curve we are right now. The new processors will already do 8K 60 hertz. That's not going to even be consumer space until 10 years from now. So I don't know HDMI is not even going to move the needle for a while. It might be part of the reason why the Massimo decided to get out of it, because they read the writing on the wall. Now, all that being said, I had big concerns when Massimo bought this, and the AV10 and the Denon A1H came out, and those were the best units that ever were measured by ASR.
They're fantastic. They still are.
So like Massimo didn't screw that up, and there's no necessarily reason that Samsung and Harman have to, but
no,
they don't.
I'm hopeful that they don't. I'm hopeful. We'll see. Don't ruin it, Harman, Samsung. Don't ruin it. Okay, so we're gonna not stream next weekend because we've got our hands full. This is a short stream, guys, because Jonathan's got to go. We're not going to stream next weekend. We're going to stream the week after with a.
We haven't cleared it with them yet, but our intent is.
Our intent is a rehash.
Yeah, by the hosts.
Of the hosts and what happened and how things went and how we all hated our lives, but we're going to do it again, that kind of thing.
So Chirpy's in the comment here. We can get a yes from him right now if he signs off. Are you up for that, Ryan? As far as kind of
having a join us? He probably left.
5-way host talk.
I'm not. I'm out. But we don't need to stick around for him to respond. I got a lot of stuff to do in this theater this weekend and next week. Hopefully it all works. Jonathan, I hope it all comes together for you. For anybody, as we said at the very beginning, there are 4 slots open. I saw 1 or 2 replies already, so I
Nice.
think people are grabbing those spots. Ryan says yes, he's in.
Good.
But if you want to come and you have the availability to come, there were 4 slots that open. Respond to the Kansas City crawl thread. I'm going to post it again, and just respond to that thread, lock in your slot. So if you haven't done it already and you're not going, respond to that thread and we can get you in. Just please, if you say you're going to go at this point, come, because we don't want to give this lot away and somebody else wants to go and they're not able to go.
Right.
That's all I got. So I will see you guys. I'll see you before this, Jonathan. I'll probably see you on Friday at movie night. And
we should mention that too for people that maybe haven't checked this.
Go ahead.
We're just gonna go watch Final Destination Bloodlines.
Woo!
Which I think none of us are like our first choice.
No,
it was the movie in the premium theater,
not.
and we wanted to have it in a premium theater, so that's what we had to choose. So we're
that was the only choice.
At the AMC 28, and it's going to be at 7:30. We're kind of taking over row F. I think row F's probably mostly gone now, so sit in front of us, behind us if you want to join us. The AMC 28 in Olathe, Final Destination Bloodlines, 7:30 p.m. this next Friday night.
I haven't seen Final Destination. I don't know how long.
I've watched the first couple of them and not since. Have you caught all of them, or have you caught?
No, I haven't seen since like the first or second one.
Yeah, it's
how many are there?
A lot.
I don't even want to know. Don't even want to know.
It's like Fast and the Furious at this point.
Like Tremors. Anyway, guys, we'll be back in the next, I guess, couple weeks. We won't be back next weekend because of the crawl, but enjoy your times out there. Enjoy your theaters. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys here coming soon. Have a good